Good afternoon and welcome back to the Chaplain channel. My name is Natalie and I am the Chaplain. I'm so glad you joined us this afternoon. It's Friday here where I am and I just got that Friday feel going on right now. I was out for a walk in the sunshine with my friend and the wind was blowing, and it's nice that it is springtime here where I live. We have been reading through a very amazing book called Is It My Fault? This book was instrumental in 2014 when I was escaping from abuse. We're in the chapter called Am I in an Abusive Relationship? And today we're going to read about the various kinds of abuse. As we've discussed previously, there are different kinds of abuse, but all of them are wrong. To help you take inventory of your unique situation, let's consider these different kinds of abuse. Physical. When we talk about domestic violence, we are often referring to the physical abuse of a spouse or intimate partner. This means using physical force against someone in a way that injures or endangers that person. My dog is chewing on his favorite toy over there. That's what you're hearing. Physical assault or battering is a crime, whether it occurs inside or outside of the family. The police have the power and authority to protect you from physical attack, and you have the right to protect yourself and your children if you have them. Sexual abuse. Any situation in which you are forced to participate in unwanted, unsafe, or degrading sexual activity is sexual abuse. Forced sex, even by a spouse or intimate partner with whom you also have a consensual sex, is an act of aggression and violence. Sexual assault includes rape, but it also includes coercion, intimidation, or manipulation to force unwanted sex. We define sexual assault as any type of sexual behavior or contact where consent is not freely given or obtained and is accomplished through force, intimidation, violence, coercion, manipulation, threat, deception, or abuse of authority. Sexual assault is a display of power by the perpetrator against the victim. It is not a product of an uncontrollable sexual urge. In fact, it is not actually about sex at all. It is about violence and control. Perpetrators use sexual actions and behaviors as weapons to dominate, control, and to belittle another person. If you feel as though you are being pressured into sex or that you are doing something that you do not want in order to placate your partner, then let us tell you now that your feelings are valid and that it is abuse. As shaming as sexual assault feels, you aren't alone in this either. According to surveys, 1 in 4 women will be sexually assaulted at some point in their lifetimes, and these statistics are probably underestimates. Sexual assault can occur in marriage. As a matter of fact, researchers have estimated that sexual assault occurs in 10 to 14% of all marriages. Emotional abuse. Most people can identify physical abuse, pushing, hitting, kicking, if it is happening in their relationship. Emotional abuse, on the other hand, is not always so easily spotted. It's harder to pinpoint exactly what's wrong and easier to minimize what's really going on. It doesn't leave you bleeding or bruised. The neighbors can't hear it, not always through the walls, but emotional abuse is no less destructive than physical abuse, and it is no less wrong. The aim of emotional abuse is to chip away at your feelings of self-worth and independence, a violent process in that it degrades you and your sense of your God-given worth. If you're the victim of emotional abuse, you may feel that there is no way out of the relationship, or that without your abusive partner you will have nothing. So how can you identify if what you're experiencing is emotional abuse? There are several ways. Emotional abuse includes verbal abuse, such as yelling, name-calling, blaming, and shaming. Isolation, intimidation, and controlling behavior are also signs of emotional abuse. Sometimes abusers throw in threats of physical violence or other repercussions if you don't do what they want. Emotional abuse also includes economic or financial abuse, such as withholding money, basic necessities, restricting you to an allowance, sabotaging your job, and stealing from you or taking your money. These are just some examples, but if you don't see your particular experience listed here, use this as a gentle guide, a general guide. Does your partner do something deliberately and repeatedly that puts you down or thwarts your plans? If the person who is supposed to be providing love, support, and guidance is keeping you in a situation where you are constantly made to feel inferior, you are not in a healthy relationship. Reflect on your partner's abusive behavior. Do you see him in these pages? I did. Can you see evidence that the behaviors were deliberate, controlled, or planned? Does he act differently toward you when there are other people around? How has he attempted to stop your resistance to his abuse? Does he treat others with respect while treating you with disrespect? In Chapter 3, we will explore some of the reasons why he chooses to abuse. But first, let's take a look at your own experiences to get clarity on your situation. Our hope is that as we spell out the nuances of what you may be experiencing, you will be able to call it what it is, plain and simple: abuse. Your thoughts and feelings. Do you feel afraid of your partner most of the time? Avoid certain topics out of fear of angering your partner. Do you feel afraid of your partner's temper? Do you feel afraid to disagree? Do you feel that you can't do anything right for your partner? Do you believe you deserve to be hurt or mistreated? Do you have to justify everything you do, every place you go, or every person you talk to in order to avoid your partner's anger? Do you feel afraid to leave or break up because your partner has threatened to hurt you, himself, or someone else? Do you avoid seeing family or friends because of your partner's jealousy? Do you wonder if you're the one who's crazy? Do you feel emotionally numb or helpless? It is still abuse if there's a handbook for victim of violence called Breaking the Silence that makes these important points about abuse. It is still abuse if the incidents of physical abuse seem minor when compared to those you've read about, seen on TV, or heard other women talk about. There isn't a better or worse form of physical abuse. Any physical harm is a serious offense. It's still abuse if the incidents of physical abuse have only occurred 1 or 2 times in the relationship. Studies indicate that if your spouse or partner has injured you once, it's likely he will do it again. It's still abuse if the physical assault stopped when you became passive and gave up your right to express yourself as you desire, to move about freely and see others and to make decisions. It is not a victory if you have to give up your rights as a person and a partner in exchange for not being assaulted. It is still abuse if there has not been any physical violence. Many women are emotionally and verbally assaulted. This can be as equally frightening and is often more confusing to try to understand. In fact, many women who I have counseled have actually come out and said that they wished that he would do something physical that would leave a mark so that they could take a picture and prove the abuse, but instead abusers can be very clever about abusing without making it leave any physical evidence, no physical proof of what happened. But sometimes even the wounding that happens with emotional abuse goes deeper than that of physical abuse. That's what I have found, and it's what I hear from other women who I counsel. So, some heavy stuff today, but very important that you know and understand what abuse is, how it manifests in a relationship, and we will get to the power and control wheel next time we talk. In the meantime, keep looking up for the return of our Lord Jesus Christ. He said he would come soon. He said that in the book of Revelation. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord's face shine on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance on you and give you his peace. Shalom. See you next time on the Chaplain Channel.